Hello world, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Anna, I make art and lifestyle content, and today, after a request and I needed to make some more bedroom decor, we're doing an embroidery hoop. So I've just bunged this up on the window to be able to trace the design. I don't have a light box and that's the best I can do. I did start this embroidery in bed and realised that I looked like a complete slob. So we've taken it to the desk for something a bit more professional. I've chosen this really like red and orangey colour palette, and I am going to be throwing in the leaves first. So I'm actually watching Vikings whilst we make this. I pretty much finished a couple of seasons because this hoop took 12 hours, and I'm impressed I managed to get this video so short. But I hope you can either have a cup of tea and relax to this, or you are in the process of doing your own craft and, as I do, watching YouTube videos in the background. So for the foliage, I didn't want it to be too bold because I am obviously going to be doing some denser florals. So I've actually split the embroidery thread into, I think, 3 strands for most of this. And my queen's head, that's always what I've been told it's called. This one doesn't have a queen's head on it, but these things really help pull the thread through. So for most of this foliage I did the running back stitch for the strands. So this is just coming in and going out a bit further and coming back, working back on yourself. It just gives you a really clean line, and I also used, I guess, satin stitch for the leaves. The ones I've already done are quite directional, and the ones that I do on this strand I work across, like straight across, just to keep a nice flat colour.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I...
Don't we love a great transition? So I just threw in the rest of the foliage in off camera because that was just way too much time that it took. So I just continued with the longer dark green leaves, and I also threw in some stems for some daisies that we will be doing in a bit later. Finally, time to throw some flowers in. So this is a stitch that I've been seeing a lot on Pinterest and Instagram Reels. So you're just making the long stitches, 5 of them. You want an odd number of stitches, and then you just work around it in a circle, going over and under. And obviously as it goes around it will alternate, and it creates a really cool textured flower effect. This is definitely not practical for any sort of fashion embroidery. Yeah, there's my threads getting stuck. I hate this. Anyway, not particularly good for like a fashion embroidery or something because it's quite a fragile stitch. I accidentally caught it with the needle and it all like pulled all the threads through. But for an embroidery hoop and something to be displayed, it is really effective.
You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down.
So to finish this off, I just popped on another thread and did a bit of a back stitch all the way around and sort of off-centered them and kept them loose just to add a bit of a less rigid edge to them and to cover up some of the initial first stitches.
Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, the sky is falling down.
This type of stitch used so much embroidery thread. I continue to add a few more of these types of rosette flowers, but you definitely couldn't do an entire piece if you didn't have all the thread. But I'm bored now, let's go for a walk.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by, it doesn't make it easy. The other piece of my heart moves slow, somewhere in the great unknown. When I return from the afterglow, will you carry me like I...
Oh my gosh, it's been so beautiful outside with the brief snow. We've had a few days, and I mean, it's a great birthday present. I turned 25 this week, so yeah, I'm a 25-year-old that does embroidery. I love it. So this is a new type of flower we're doing with this like pale pink, and I'm going for maybe peony-ish something. They're just made up. And this stitch is actually just your satin stitch, but keeping the thread looser, so not pulling it through as tight, and it gives a really nice texture. And I go through and just work all the way around.
Feeling is all gone. Feeling is all gone. If I could take you back to my youth and show you what I wish I knew. My will is strong with a place to lean. In the moment I hung desperately. The other ring on my wrist is gold, pairing with the light it holds. When I return from my skin and bones, I'm remembering the words you told me. Wait, hold on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all. I had a feeling, but the feeling is all gone. Wait, hold on.
So I really did like this stitch, and I'm going to add one more of these flowers into it. I also went in with a darker pink just around the edges, just to give it a bit more definition. But I'm really liking how this turns out. I'm really sorry for the angle, I just seem to have forgotten that I'm filming with a camera in front of me. So to contrast all of these orangey, earthier tones, I had to throw a little pop of blue in there, so I've just thrown a couple of satin stitches in for that too. So, like I said, I spent most of this embroidery in bed because I filmed 7 hours at my desk, and that wasn't the entire embroidery. I must have taken me about 12 hours to do this. So I'm definitely not the fastest, and this embroidery hoop as well is not the best. It's a rubberized one, and it just does not hold the fabric taut whatsoever. But this is where I do most of my arts and crafts, and I have to stop because I keep spilling things in bed, paints and dropping pens. So a few hundred stitches later and hours, I have added in all of the flowers. Again, using the same sort of stitches, but varying the thickness of the thread, and I also threw in these daisy chain daisies, which I will show you how to make, and thrown in some French knots for the centres of the flowers. And I really want to create these sort of trailing flowers using the French knot stitch. So first things first, let's throw in the daisy chain. So you're basically just coming into the fabric, back through pretty much in the exact same spot, and then catching the loop with a stitch at the top length of your petal. Daisy chain, obviously got to make daisies with it, and for this one I just did a few in the same place to create like a flower about to bloom, and then did them in a circle to create the open daisies. Finally, the most effective French knot, you're just coming into the fabric, wrapping the thread around your needle a few times, and then going back through pretty much where you came in, and you create these different size knots depending on how many times you wrap the thread around. So I've managed to make a trailing effect by doing thinner knots at the bottom and keeping the chunkier, thicker knots, which I wrapped around I think 3 or 4 times towards the top. So a few hundred knots later, and I'm really happy with this, and it was really cool to try out those new flower techniques. I threw in a few little white dots around just to give it a bit of a sparkle. I'm going to try and rub those pencil lines out, which I'm hoping will work. This embroidery hoop, rubbish. Definitely need to do it in a proper embroidery hoop next time. But yeah, I'm so pleased. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you love it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and please go check out some of my other videos. I will see you on the next one. Keep safe, keep smiling. Bye.